Welcome to the Simplicity of Wellness podcast. I'm Amy White, holistic nutritionist, life coach, and weight loss specialist. If you're tired of overcomplicating food, battling your body, and starting over every Monday, you're in the right place. Here we talk about what actually works, simple shifts in food, mindset, and habits that lead to lasting change. Let's dive in. Welcome back, Simplifiers. Today we're going to talk about something that I know is going to hit home for a lot of you. I want you to think about yesterday or last week. Think about a day where you ate really well, like you actually tried. You had the oatmeal for breakfast, you chose the salad at lunch, you skipped the fries, you made the quote-unquote right choices. And then 3 p.m. hit, and something in you just shifted. Maybe it was that pull toward the candy jar at work, or the handful of crackers before dinner that turned into half the box, or standing in front of the pantry at 9 p.m. thinking, I just ate a full dinner. Why am I here right now? If that sounds familiar, I want you to hear me say this. That's not a willpower problem. That's not a discipline problem. That's a signaling problem. Your body was trying to tell you something, and today I'm going to explain exactly what it was saying and how to fix it without cutting anything out of your life. Here's what I see all the time with the women I work with. They come to me and they're frustrated. They're doing the work. They're choosing the salad. They're eating the clean breakfast. And they genuinely cannot figure out why they're still hungry all the time. And the reason nobody can figure it out is because we've confused two things that sound the same but are actually very different. Eating healthy and eating for satiety. They are not always the same thing. Let me give you some examples. Oatmeal with fruit and a drizzle of honey. That's what most people would call a healthy breakfast, right? A big Caesar salad with croutons and dressing for lunch. A snack plate with hummus, pita, and veggies in the afternoon. None of those are bad foods. I'm not here to vilify any of them. But here's what they all have in common. They're high in energy, carbs and fats, and relatively low in the one nutrient that actually tells your brain, okay, we're good, we have what we need, we can stop searching for food. That nutrient is protein. And when your meals are low in protein relative to the energy they contain, something really specific happens. Your stomach fills up. Physically, you're full. You can't eat another bite. But your brain never got the signal it was waiting for. Your cells didn't get the nutrients they needed, so your brain was never told to turn off what I called food search mode. Your stomach is full, but your brain knows you're still hungry. That's the paradox. And that's why you're standing in front of the pantry at night thinking something's wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with you. Your meal just didn't send the right signal. Let me walk you through what's actually happening inside your body when you eat, because once you see this, I think things will click. When protein hits your gut, it reaches specialized cells called L cells. Think of these as little nutrient sensors lining your digestive tract. Their job is to detect what's coming in and send the appropriate signals to your brain. When enough protein reaches those L cells, they trigger what I call a satiety cascade. They release a series of hormones. And I'm going to walk you through the 3 big ones because I think it's really empowering to understand what your body's actually designed to do. The first one is GLP-1. You've probably heard this term because of the weight loss medications that mimic it. But here's what most people don't realize. Your body makes GLP-1 naturally. Every time you eat adequate protein, your gut releases it. GLP-1 does 2 things. It increases your feeling of fullness and it slows down how fast your stomach empties. That's why a protein-rich meal makes you feel satisfied for hours, not just for the 20 minutes it takes to eat it. The second hormone is PYY, or peptide YY. This one is fascinating. PYY works through your vagus nerve. That's the communication highway between your gut and your brain. When PYY is released after a protein-rich meal, it travels up that nerve and essentially tells the hunger center in your brain to stand down. It reduces your desire for more food. And the research on this is striking. When PYY is at the right levels, it can reduce how much you eat at your next meal significantly. The third is CCK, or cholecystokinin. I know, it's a big word, but what it does is simple. CCK slows gastric emptying even further and extends your feeling of physical fullness. It's the hormone that stretches that gap between meals. It also works through the vagus nerve, and it actually helps GLP-1 work better. These hormones are designed to work as a team. So when you eat enough protein, this whole cascade fires. GLP-1 slows things down and makes you feel full. PYY tells your brain to stop looking for food. And CCK extends that fullness and supports the whole system. And the result? Your brain gets the message. Food noise goes quiet. You're not thinking about what's next. You're just done. Protein is a natural signal booster for your body's satiety hormones. When the signal's strong enough, the food noise stops. But here's the flip side. When your meal is mostly carbs and fats with just a little protein sprinkled in, those L cells don't get enough of what they need to fire the satiety cascade properly. You still get some insulin response, some energy storage, but the satiety hormones, they're muted. The signal gets lost in the noise. And that's when the cravings start. That's when the food noise cranks up. Not because you lack discipline, but because the signal to stop searching for food never reached your brain. So what do we do with this? And I love this part because the fix is simpler than you think. You don't need a new diet. You don't need to cut anything out. You just need to change the order. Protein first, fiber second, starches last. That's it. That's the shift. When you sit down to a meal, eat the protein first. Your chicken, steak, fish, eggs, Greek yogurt, whatever it is. Eat that before you touch the rest. Aim for about 30 grams or more of protein at that meal. Then move to your vegetables. Fill that space in your belly with fiber and color. Then, if you still have room, have the starch. The potatoes, the rice, the bread. It's not off limits. It's just not first. And the reason this works so well is because of everything we just talked about. When protein hits your gut first without being diluted by a bunch of energy, those L cells fire the cascade early. GLP-1, PYY, CCK, they all get triggered at the beginning of the meal, not at the end. By the time you get that starch, your brain has already started receiving the satiety signal. You naturally eat less without trying, not because you're restricting, but because you're feeling full. Same meal, same food, different order, completely different outcome. Let's make this concrete. Breakfast, a bowl of oatmeal with berries and honey. That's a glucose spike followed by a crash. You're shaky by 10 a.m. Now take that same morning and make it eggs with a chicken sausage, sautéed spinach, and a side of berries. The protein calms your appetite center right away. The fiber sustains it. You're full until lunch. Not stuffed, just not thinking about food. Lunch, a big salad with croutons and heavy dressing. The croutons and the dressing dilute the protein signal. You feel stuffed for about an hour, then you're ravenous. It's 3 p.m. and you need sugar. Now take that same salad, put a generous portion of grilled chicken on top, and scale back the croutons. The protein anchors the meal. Steady energy all afternoon. Dinner at a restaurant? Here's a strategy I give all my clients. Order your protein-heavy main. Salmon, steak, chicken. When the bread basket arrives, leave it alone until your protein gets there. Eat the protein and the veggies first. Then, if you really want the bread, have it. You're not restricting the bread. You're being strategic about it. And you'll probably find you want a lot less of it than you would if you'd started with it. This is what I mean when I say the plan has to work inside real life. You're not avoiding restaurants. You're not bringing Tupperware everywhere. You're just sequencing differently. Now I want to give you a really simple way to know if your meals are actually working. I call it the satiety test. When you start thinking about food, ask yourself these questions. Number 1, how long has it been since my last meal? If your meal sent the right signal, food shouldn't be on your radar until about 4 hours after that previous meal. Number 2, am I looking for a snack? A properly signaled meal should carry you comfortably to your next meal without needing anything in between. Number 3, do I feel shaky or irritable? If you do, that's your blood sugar talking. It means your last meal was probably too high in energy and too low in protein. You got a spike and a crash. If it's been about 4 hours since your last meal, you haven't been hunting for snacks, and you're not feeling shaky or irritable, your meal worked. Keep doing what you're doing. If it hasn't been 4 hours, you're looking for a snack and or you're feeling shaky or irritable, you didn't fail. You just have data. Your next meal needs more protein and less energy. Adjust the ratios and try it again. Stop counting calories. Start counting hours of satiety between meals. That one shift in how you measure success will change everything. Because when you're counting calories, you're in the mental courtroom. You're judging every bite, negotiating with yourself, feeling guilty. But when you're measuring satiety, you're just collecting data. Hunger becomes information, not an indictment. Let's spend a minute here because I think this is the part that doesn't get talked about enough. Most women I work with treat hunger like a crime, like feeling hungry is evidence they did something wrong. The internal dialogue sounds like, I shouldn't be hungry. What's wrong with me? I just ate. I have no willpower. I call this the mental courtroom. You're prosecuting yourself for being hungry, and the sentence is always the same. Try harder, eat less, be better. But here's what I want you to consider. What if hunger isn't a verdict? What if it's just data? If you're hungry 2 hours after a meal, your body's telling you something factual. The protein to energy ratio was off. The signal didn't land. That's not a moral failure. That's a dial that needs adjusting. And when you start treating hunger that way, as information instead of evidence against yourself, something shifts. The guilt lifts. The food drama quiets down. You stop negotiating with your appetite and start working with it. Stop negotiating with your hunger. Start listening to the signal. This is what I mean by metabolic calm. It's not just about the weight. It's about what it feels like to go through a whole day without food running the show. To eat lunch and then just live your afternoon. To go to a party and enjoy the food without running commentary in your head about what you should or shouldn't be eating. When you consistently eat protein first, you're not just getting full. You're training your body to be metabolically flexible, to burn its own stored fat for fuel because insulin levels stay managed. And the byproduct of that is something most women haven't felt in years. Quiet. The food noise just goes quiet. The ultimate goal here isn't weight loss. Weight loss can be a wonderful side effect, but the real goal, it's the quietness of the food noise. It's the food freedom. It's eating like a normal person and not having it consume your mental energy. So here's what I want you to do. And I'm keeping this simple on purpose because you don't need to overhaul your entire life. Pick one meal tomorrow, just one. Breakfast is the easiest place to start. Hit 30 grams of protein. That's about 3 eggs and 3 egg whites, a cup of cottage cheese or Greek yogurt mixed with protein powder. You could also do a palm-sized piece of chicken or fish if you're more into a savory type of breakfast. Eat the protein before anything else on the plate. Then, when you start thinking about food, run the test. How long has it been since my last meal? Am I looking for a snack? Do I feel shaky or irritable? Notice what happens, because I think you're going to be surprised. Most people are. This isn't complicated. It's just different from what we've been taught. And if you try it and it works, do it again the next day and the next day after that. Start with one meal. Master your satiety dial. The rest will follow. If this episode resonated with you and you want help applying this into your real life, at a restaurant, during travel, on the weeks when everything feels chaotic, that's exactly what we do in my one-to-one coaching program. Click the Transformation Starts Here link in the show notes and schedule your free consult so we can talk about what food freedom and healthy weight loss will look like in your real life. Thanks for spending time with me today. Remember, you're not broken. Your satiety signal was just muffled, and now you know how to turn it up. I'll be back in the next episode.